right, everyone. Welcome to episode 7 of the Baseline Bums podcast. I am your host, Rob, a.k.a. B-Ball Archives, and I am with my boy, AJ.
What's up, everybody? Episode 7.
Yeah,
I remember when we first started this podcast.
Oh, yeah, a while back. Yeah, we got some really, really great topics today. I'm excited to get into some of these. We are going to be talking about Adam Silver and the fact that he's been kind of cracking down on players demanding for trades and teams kind of just booting out players that are kind of in a slump. So we want to see accountability from both sides, and it seems like Adam Silver agrees. So that is one of the topics today. And we will also be getting into defenders with 3+ Defensive Player of the Year rankings. Which one would we rather have? Yeah, that's going to be a good one. We're also going to get into some Spurs topics as well. We're going to be doing some Tony and Manu appreciation.
Which, if you're one of our few lady podcast listeners, you're not going to want to miss this.
Oh, yeah.
Tony and Manu, I mean, man, they were some heartthrobs in San Antonio.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we're going to get into.
Yeah. We might even pop on Tony's French album. So... Okay, and then we will also be talking about some comments that Robert Horry made a few years back and what that means. What that means in terms of his standing within the Spurs organization. He made some pretty outlandish remarks, and we're going to address them.
Yeah, Big Mouth Bob.
Yeah, Big Mouth Bob as well as Big Shot Bob, for real. And we're also, lastly, going to be getting into Nash versus Stockton all-time ranking. And diving into some of those stats. That'll be fun.
Player comparison of the day is Nash and Stockton, and then the appreciation is Tony and Manu. So we're not going to compare Tony and Manu.
Oh, of course not.
We're just going to love on them for a good 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah. But first things first, we will be getting into Adam Silver and his comments. He has been saying that he's tired of players demanding for trades and essentially blowing up the organizations that they sign long-term contracts to. So I got to ask you, what do you feel like Adam Silver should do, and how should he address this issue?
That's a great question, because it's definitely becoming a problem in the NBA where just I'm not happy, I want out, which, I mean, you look back in earlier in the NBA history, like, if you weren't happy, you're just unhappy.
Right, you had to ride it out.
Yeah, I think Dominique Wilkins came out with a comment talking just about that. Just, hey, like, stop asking for trades, stop running from team to team. Essentially, you're chasing titles. But, I mean, you look at Kevin Durant, whether these rumors are true or not, he wanted to be traded to the Suns or Heat.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like, you're doing what you did back when you joined the Warriors. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
nothing's changed after 5 years.
Yeah, nothing changed after 5 years. I think he has done a lot for small market franchises, adding in the clause for rookie contracts, and I think you can't have more than one rookie contract. Or I can't remember that.
You can have 2 rookie max contracts as long as you drafted both of them.
That's what it is.
So
yeah.
you can't have 2 that you traded for.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. So like that aspect is great, and also he's providing the team that drafted them with the most leverage when it comes to money.
Yeah,
it's like you're going to get the most money if you stay with the one team. So for me, I mean, Adam Silver's done a lot, but I don't know how much more he can do outside of, maybe finding the player, or maybe just saying you have to, I guess, complete your contract. Or, I mean, hell, just put a cap on all these rumors coming out. Just like, hey, if someone wants to get traded, I don't want to hear it. Like, just keep that between the player and the franchise.
Yeah.
If it gets out rumor-wise, or if, Wendy gets it, or Woj or something, just... Like, we can't have these things happen because it's becoming a trend.
Yes.
It really is. It's actually getting really annoying now, to the point of, what's the NBA going to look like in 5 years? And also, it's definitely changed the dynamic of the NBA too. So now you're having, for example, Kawhi Leonard was unhappy in San Antonio, made it known, we shipped him off to Canada, and that really changed the entire, East-West balance, because it made the Toronto Raptors all of a sudden a title contender. And so, I don't know what really he can do outside of just don't let these things come out. But I do think he needs to get in front of it because we're seeing great players be traded through 2-3 times for draft picks or nothing or cash consideration. So, that's my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, that's certainly a lot of good points there. The players have so much power; they can just tweet that they won out, and then the franchise is really scrambling as to how they're going to get the most value for them. Mm-hmm. And so, to me, there's one solution that I think makes a little bit of sense in that within every NBA contract, I would like to see a mandatory minimum. And so, if it's just for instance, and this is just hypothetical here. So, for instance, you sign a 3-year contract, it would be a 1-year mandatory minimum, a 4-year, 2-year mandatory minimum, 5-year, 3-year mandatory minimum. And so this would mean that you can't demand a trade for that 3 years, but also the organization, if you are healthy and you are cleared by a team physician, they can't trade you off either just because your stats start to slump a little bit.
Right.
They can't trade package you and ship you off against your wishes.
Sure.
Like, let's say like a Toronto situation because DeMar DeRozan wanted to stay there.
Sure. Yeah.
And so they couldn't do something like that. So I think that would be something that would protect the player.
It's a good idea.
And something that could protect the organization. So I think something like that where it's a little bit of give and take because these players have so much power right now, you're not going to be able to just get them to agree to something that isn't going to favor them in any way. I think that they would eventually agree to something that's going to make the teams hold themselves a little bit more accountable for their long-term contracts. And so that could be an issue. And then within that, if it's within that 3 years and the player is sitting within that mandatory minimum and is protesting and doesn't want to play, they have to give that contract back because that is within the mandatory minimum.
Yeah.
That is within that mandatory minimum that you are essentially agreeing to the organization like, hey, you have me, I have you, we got to make this work type of deal. And if you are refusing you were just unable to negotiate within that, then you have to forfeit that money.
Absolutely. And what's crazy is that we're seeing these teams that are forming. Like I still if Brooklyn's able to stay with each other, I want to see KD and Kyrie and Ben Simmons figure it out.
Yeah,
because I think that's going to be an amazing team, and that's a great team with finals potential for sure. But it's just if KD's not happy or if Kyrie's not happy, and who. Now we have all these crazy contracts that they really can't offload. I mean, that's kind of what's going on with Westbrook right now. Is that you really can't offload like a $49 million contract or something. So you can't really find a trade partner for that. And it's I don't know if it's just the time we're living in, and it's very much like your short term success instead of your long term success is also playing a part of it. Because I think with some of these teams, I mean, Donovan Mitchell is a great example right now, too. He's just not happy.
Yeah.
He's just not happy, and he doesn't want to be in Utah anymore. So is he going to get traded to the Knicks? That's the hot rumor. They're still talking it out. But, we'll see. He also just signed an extension, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, to your point, it would have been that could happen. The thing, though, about NBA player money, especially at the top tier levels, is that the NBA is like their third or fourth salary. So if I lose out on 2 years of my contract, whatever, Nike's going to give me the remaining balance or whatever.
Right.
So I think
they're going to be okay.
Yeah, they're going to be fine. So I think that could happen. Another thing that Adam Silver is talking about cracking down on is players' rest.
Yeah.
Which I totally understand. As being a fan of the organization that kind of started the whole thing.
Yeah.
It makes sense from a team perspective, but at the same time, if I'm a fan and I want to go see a certain team or a certain player and it's the only time I get to see them, then I'm going to be upset.
Of course.
Like I'll be really mad if that would happen.
Yeah,
so.
if my favorite player isn't playing and I look on the box score and the reason they're not playing is load management, I'm going to be like, dude, come on, man.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't really fault it because the players are just exercising their power.
Sure.
Just because on the opposite end, the coaches and organizations used to abuse that, where the players were hurt, didn't matter, get out there.
Right.
And so where safety and concern was taking, a really large back seat. So
sure.
I can understand why players are pushing for that nowadays. But is it leading to a better product, or is it leading to a more competitive game?
I
don't know.
So I think this is where Adam Silver is 100% spot on, is having a midseason NBA tournament, and it's going to be very much like the FA Cup in soccer. So you're going to have your up-and-coming young players playing, and your stars are going to sit out. Your stars are not going to play in this cup.
Interesting.
If you want to, you can, but I wouldn't do it. It would be more of a development thing for my younger players. So you can have like these younger players who are up and coming. You can have some of your G League stars as well have this in-season tournament, and then all of a sudden you give those young players the confidence. You give them the nod, and you get a star out of that, or you're able to develop your players because now they're, let's say you're like the Kings versus like the Magic or something, and you're in the finals of this midseason tournament. It's now this game matters.
Yeah.
Because this game is, it's probably going to be big money. And if you're on like a rookie contract and you're a second round pick, you're probably not making a whole lot. Like you're making decent money for sure, but you're not making like, your top tier talent player. So it gives you a showcase, and who knows, like maybe you find someone that is a hidden gem that just never got the opportunity, and all of a sudden you take them off one team, put them on another team, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
Like those the first name that comes to mind for that like midseason tournament that I'd love to see like just show out was Matt McClung.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see Matt McClung go out there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is, and just ball out on a national level. Because I really think that he can make it in the NBA. He just needs to showcase that.
Yeah.
I mean, he got Rookie of the Year last year in the G League.
Right.
So I think Adam Silver is really spot on with kind of taking that soccer mentality and bringing it over to the NBA and having that midseason tournament. And I mean, it's good for the guys, it's good for the organizations. Someone that may not be winning championships may be able to win tournaments. So, put some trophies in the case.
Yeah, no, that makes all the sense in the world. I think you're spot on. We need a little bit of that soccer mentality so that we can, give younger people a chance to shine and a little showcase for them as well. That's making all the sense.
I'm also not opposed to like relegation too. So
I've thought that for years.
Yeah.
I just don't think that there's enough leagues to support relegation.
Yeah.
So I think that we're close because a lot of European countries are elevating their play.
Yeah.
But we're close. We're close. But yeah, all very interesting things that could be in the future for Adam Silver.
I do like him a lot as a commissioner.
I do.
I think he's very much a players commissioner. I think he's focused on the players and the overall product.
He's a purist.
He's a purist.
Yes,
and
David
Stern was fantastic because he made basketball a global sport, which is why we have the European presence that we have now.
Yes.
And then Adam Silver was able to take that ball and just expand it even more.
Yeah.
And also he was the deputy commissioner too, so that helps a lot.
Yeah, he's been there for a long time.
So anyway, we like the commissioner. A
lot of good stuff coming from him recently. Yeah. But yeah, that pretty much sums up Adam Silver cracking down. We're gonna shift gears a little bit and move into our next topic, where we're gonna be talking about defenders with 3+ defensive player of the years, and who would we rather have? So when we're looking at this list, we're looking at Ben Wallace, who has 4, Mutombo, who has 4. We have Gobert, who has 3, and Dwight Howard, who has 3. So these are some very elite big men, and these guys are awesome rim protectors. So, regardless, there's no wrong answer, but we're going to talk about who we would rather have protecting our rim.
Yeah.
And
who do you got?
I'm going to go with Mutombo.
Okay.
I'm going with Mutombo. I know that there's a lot of other really, really great defensive presences when I'm looking at, Gobert. He's he's really, really quick and agile, and he's going to be able to get to a lot of places defensively. Dwight Howard, athletically and strength-wise, is on another level.
Double arm sleeve.
Dude,
Dwight.
dangerous double arm sleeve. Yeah. That was when he was Superman dunk contest stuff. Yeah. Incredible. And Ben Wallace, one of the toughest, scariest guys to see down low when you're driving down the paint. So obviously, it's not an easy selection. But when I'm looking at prime Mutombo, there was a 3-year stretch where he averaged over 4 blocks a game. And none of the other guys on this list even did that 1 year. So when I'm looking at rim protecting, I think of Mutombo in his prime. He is swatting. He is blocking. He is iconic for the finger waving. Mutombo is telling you to get the hell out of here. No. But for me, prime Mutombo is who I would want as my rim protector. I mean, Hakeem Olajuwon had over 4 blocks a game for a few years, but I have him as the best defender all time, and he only had 2 Defensive Player of the Year. So, I think Dikembe kind of snuck in there and won more than maybe he should have, but at the same time, his rim protection was absolutely legendary. So, for me, rim protector, I'm going Dikembe out of these guys.
That's a great answer.
Who are you going with?
So, for me, it's kind of, honestly, like you said, you can't go wrong. But I kind of went, what does rim protector mean to me? And rim protector is that's all you do.
Yeah.
So for me, it's Ben Wallace because literally that's all he did.
Right.
Like he blocked shots, made shots difficult. You couldn't finish down low against the Pistons. Even though Tim Duncan did that one time when he dunked on him.
Yes.
That was really cool.
And he fell over too.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
Duncan dunked on his back.
Yep.
It was rough. But at the same time, you could not do anything down low against Ben Wallace. Not only is he going to either block your shot or make it more difficult or change your shot, he's also going to get that rebound. Yeah. So that's 2 things that he's able to do. And also, like I said, he didn't do anything. He wasn't scoring 20 points, 30 points. He was just rim protecting. Literally, that's all he was doing.
Yeah.
And with his big afro and his armbands and just he was a presence down low that was highly entertaining to watch when you're watching someone just play defense and then watch someone just be a liability on offense. Yeah. And he's not going to win Offensive Player of the Year. That's why he has 4 Defensive Player of the Years.
Yeah.
And also he really fit well in that Larry Brown defensive scheme. Standing next to Rasheed Wallace, he definitely stood out whenever we were younger, and rightfully so. Also, I mean, I think it's very it says a lot about the player when Rudy Gobert is a 3-time defensive player in this NBA during this time, because you don't really have rim protectors nowadays. There are a lot of perimeter defenders. I think if you look in the past probably 10 years, you probably see more perimeter defenders than rim protectors. I mean, you see Rudy Gobert's name 3 times, which is whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
That's saying quite a bit.
Yeah. So that's the way I looked at it. I mean, Dwight Mutombo, Mutombo was a great all-around block shot. What was great about during the 90s era with Mutombo is those big men, they were playing volleyball. They always had their hands up.
Yes.
And that's why they were
always ready.
Always ready. That's why they were so good at blocking shots. If you look at all those block shots that Mutombo has, his hands are already up here by the time the person's on their way. You see them just volleyball every single time. And that's something that I think kind of gets lost in today's NBA is that they don't read the drive the way that they used to back in the 90s.
Well, yeah. I mean, out of necessity. People aren't driving. They're just pulling up and shooting the 3. So it's whenever you don't have to do it on that level, it just kind of becomes a lost art, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's either way you slice it, any one of those 4 guys, Howard, Gobert, Mutombo, Wallace, you have excellent rim protection.
For sure.
You are doing great. But that was a fun conversation because I feel like a lot of these guys also are underappreciated.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ben Wallace is super underappreciated.
Yeah, people forget he's Hall of Fame for a reason. He was a very vital part of those Pistons teams in the mid 2000s. They would not have been where they were without him.
And I heard he can throw a punch.
Yeah, he's a scary dude.
Let us know if you want us to talk about the Malice in the Palace.
Yeah, Malice in the Palace. Yeah, there's all kinds of fights. There's the brawl in the garden.
Oh yeah, with Mikhail.
Yeah, that was that one.
That one. Yeah,
and
that was in LA, I think.
I'm talking about the one where Mello.
Oh,
Mello threw that punch and connected real hard. But yeah, we can get into a little NBA brawl session at some point. That would be a good topic.
Shaq versus Barkley.
Oh, that's not even really a fight. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and zoom on past that and go ahead and go into some Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili appreciation.
Who should we start with first?
Let's go ahead and start with Manu.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, let's start with Manu. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and start with my favorite fact about Manu. He is one of two people to win an NBA championship, an Olympic gold medal, and a Euro League title. There's only two people in the history of basketball. Shout out Bill Bradley, the other person that did it. No one knows who Bill Bradley is, but everyone knows who Manu is.
Yeah,
Manu is so legendary. Lionel Messi said that I am the Manu of football. He said that he wants to be compared to Manu, not Manu compared to him.
Yeah.
So I think that speaks volumes when the best soccer player of all time.
But Rob, who's Lionel Messi? This is a basketball podcast.
No. We have absolute respect for GOATs of their sports.
We do. Yeah, absolutely.
If Tom Brady said that same thing, we would hold it in the same regard.
I think Tom Brady did say that.
Yeah, Tom Brady actually said Manu was his favorite athlete. I think I heard that one time, right? Yeah.
That's how he's able to move his hip with the Euro step.
You
in
know
the pocket.
what? You're right. I believe it. It sounds good. We're gonna put that on TikTok.
Keep that in there.
Yeah.
I love this. Manu's game was just so much fun to watch because he was so unconventional as a Spurs player. But then you watch him. I had more fun watching Manu in the Euro Leagues or in international competition because you got to see him shine as the best player on the team. And that was fun for me to watch because it's like, oh, this guy just accepts his role. Like his buzzer beater that he had to get to the gold medal game was, one of the greatest buzzer beaters of all time. Like he took that coast to coast and was able to get all the way and throw up that off bounce left hand shot, bank it off for the win. I mean, this guy, like, would we be talking about anyone in Argentina if it wasn't for Manu? Like, no. I mean, Luis Scola came out of that.
Luis Scola was good.
What's his? I forgot his name.
Nocioni.
Nocioni, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah,
Nocioni was good. Pablo Prigioni was good. But he was kind of like coming on at the tail end of all that. But there was some guys on there that were really solid. But like Manu, he was the clear leader of all of that. And you saw even a guy like Luis Scola, who had a really good NBA career. Yeah, he turned to Manu. Yeah, whenever the game was really getting tough, and who really led them to success in 2004, that was Manu.
Yeah, and he brought kind of like the soccer flair to basketball, right? With his long hair and his herky jerky movement, and flailing around with his hair all up in the background. I mean, I get it. If I was playing Manu, I would be really upset he was flopping. I mean, rightfully so, but
it's part of the game.
It's part of the game. Like he played within the rules.
Yep.
He definitely sold some calls. I mean, if it wasn't against the rules, they wouldn't have called it. So,
of course.
So there's also that, and then also like he really brought in the Euro step. I think some players were doing like a variation of it before Manu.
It's largely accredited to him, though.
Oh, for sure. Because you see like a couple people like do like I think I've seen Iverson like in his early career do a similar step, but it wasn't like a just stop move. Right. It was more like I kind of switched speeds, like a Euro step.
It was more of like a little hezzy.
Yeah, it was more of a hezzy than an actual Euro step. Yeah. And then, Dwayne Wade took it over, James Harden took it over, and now we see it all the time. And it's a part of the game now. Like you're seeing high school coaches teach Euro steps.
Yeah, if you don't have a Euro step in your game and you are a slasher, someone that goes to the basket, you're missing out.
Yeah.
It's a move. It's a move that people love doing.
It's a great move, and the fact that he finished left hand, right hand. He was like, what was fun also for Manu was his ability to dunk and finish at the rim, like especially towards the end of his career at 38, 39, and he was going to the basket and still dunking on people, and it's like, whoa. I don't know.
Sneaky athleticism.
Sneaky athleticism for sure. He also posterized Yao Ming.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Two-handed.
Dude, he could poster those guys. It's so crazy. I've been on TikTok multiple times saying this. There's very few people in the NBA history that have sacrificed more than Manu Ginobili.
Oh, for sure.
Because I feel like the same way with Scottie Pippen and a handful of other guys, they could have gone to other teams, had taken on a much larger role.
Mm-hmm.
Manu didn't have to be the sixth man.
Right.
Manu could have been a 25, 6, and 6 guy.
100%.
On a different team where he had license to do whatever the hell he wanted to do.
And not to worry about Pop putting him on the bench for a behind the back pass.
Exactly. Like, imagine, like, Manu on the Kings. Like, Manu's just going to freaking go off.
Yeah.
And so, for me, that says more about Manu's character than anything else. Is how much he sacrificed in order to achieve the things he did. And I hate when people like look up his stats and they're like, oh yeah, he was like a 14-3 and whatever guy. I'm like, dude, you're being really reductive when you look at his overall game.
Yeah, we're talking about you, Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Manu disrespect out there, and we won't hear any of it.
Yeah, and don't tell me that he can't go one-on-one with Jamal Crawford. Like, I get it. Jamal Crawford's a great player, but Manu played team basketball when he was on the Spurs, and that's the only thing people saw. And when you see him play as the dude on these other teams, you're like, oh, like, yeah, I get it. You're the Michael Jordan of Argentina.
Right.
Like, that makes perfect sense. And speaking of Michael Jordans, the Michael Jordan of France.
Yes.
Tony Parker.
TP, baby.
The fact that we had two of the absolute best players for two countries. Like, literally, like, there's no one else. Like,
yes.
Whenever my grandparents went to Argentina, like, I was like, hey, can y'all get me a Manu jersey? And literally, they were, like, walking around going, Ginobili, and they're like, I don't know who the hell we're talking about. And then they're like, Spurs, and they're like, oh, Ginobili. Yeah, and so, and just to give you an idea, like, international people, and then Tony Parker, too. Like, Tony Parker is the Michael Jordan of France. Like, he's still very much, like, a large part of France basketball. He married Eva Longoria, which is really cool, because it gave the Spurs, like, a little bit of Hollywood credibility. And, I mean, that was fun. So, it's with Tony. Tony was such an underrated point guard.
He was. He did so many things well that I don't think translated to a stat sheet.
I agree. And also, his progression was perfect.
Yeah.
Like, you come in the league, you make a few mistakes, you get benched for Speedy Claxton in the finals, and then all of a sudden, like, you get better the next year. You start to develop a jump shot the next year. You understand the offense the next year. Like, his growth was so fun to watch because you saw him, like, as a young player, kind of defeated whenever Pop would yell at him and he would be on the bench.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you see him go from 0 to 60 and then being the 2007 NBA Finals MVP.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people forget about he was NBA Finals MVP.
He's got a Finals MVP under his belt.
And he dominated that series.
People forget how much he was scoring down low, how he was penetrating, getting into the lane, and then finishing with floaters, little spin shots over people.
Oh, he put people in blenders all the time.
Dude, he was so elite at that. I think, at this point, I mean, even moving on past France, I think he's the best European point guard of all time.
I agree.
I mean, I think Luka Doncic will have something to say about that in the near future. If he continues to play point guard and is labeled a point guard, then I think he's going to have something to say about that. But that's further down the line.
Yeah, Tony, pure point guard. Like,
pure point guard,
You can say Luka can be a 2. Right. That brings up the ball.
Of course. But, yeah, it's for me, Tony was such a special player when you look at – I think you hit the nail on the head when you said his development, how he kind of understood the assignment each and every part of his career when he was like, oh, I need to kind of facilitate more when Duncan was in his prime. and he hadn't really got his footing yet. And then whenever he needed to take the reins in 07, because our team was kind of our team was kind of at its peak in terms of what Duncan was going to be able to provide. That was when we were getting like maxed out Duncan. 03, 05 was already was elite. 07 was kind of like the end of that, and so Tony kind of recognized that. So to see him step up in that way, just seems like each and every step of the way he knew the assignment and did so well for the Spurs and on an international level, just helping grow the game.
Yeah, grow the game in France for sure.
Yeah,
just a huge part of it.
Yeah, there's so many people that look up to Tony and that feel like, hey, basketball is a viable option. And we look at the number 1 pick for next year, Victor Wembanyama, coming out of France. He could be the next best French player all time, all because
he's a Spur.
You heard it here first. Victor Wembanyama is a Spur. No, I'm just kidding. No, but because he was inspired by maybe a French player like Tony. So
exactly. And
it all comes full circle.
And one of the really cool stats about Tony Parker is in a league that was dominated by big man, he was like top 5 consistently with points in the paint. And at some points during like Shaq era, he had the most points in the paint in certain points of the season.
Yeah.
He never finished highest points in the paint, but there were times where Tony had more points in the paint than Shaq, very much well into like the 40th, 50th game of the season.
Yeah, we love Tony. We love Manu. Legends in San Antonio. Always will be. All right. Yeah, that's some great appreciation. We are going to be shifting gears, and we're going to be talking about some comments that Robert Horry made a while back, and I'm just going to go ahead and read those. He said that when he was referencing his time with playing with Hakeem Olajuwon and Tim Duncan, he said that Dream was 20 times better than Tim Duncan. And he said that, he goes, I played with both. I know the work ethic of both. I've seen it live. And then the co-host said, wait, are you taking a shot at Tim Duncan's work ethic? And he said that, he's saying that I'm just saying that if you're down, you'd rather have Dream at the free throw line than Tim. And I think that was a weird hill to die on, like a free throw. Yeah, sure. He had 10%, maybe 15% better free throw, but like there really isn't a universe where those comments are valid. Like you can't make a comment and say any player is 20 times better than Tim Duncan. There's no player that has ever existed on planet Earth that is 20 times better than Tim Duncan at the sport of basketball. No. Period. No. Yeah, it's just you're absolutely batshit. And also, I forgot this. Robert Horry also made this comment. He goes. Let me just say this. Let me just say this. If Manu Ginobili would have did the things he was supposed to do, I would have had like 10 championships. I know, ludicrous, because I remember in 05 whenever Ginobili is literally pinned in the corner, and flings it to a wide open Robert Horry, who hits the three. Literally, Manu Ginobili doing exactly what he is supposed to do, and then it leading to success. And here we have Robert Horry, the most delusional motherfucker on planet Earth, forgetting that. And so it really blows my mind. Robert Horry, who I think, let me just go ahead and say this. Robert Horry, who I feel like is the luckiest player in NBA history, when you get to play with prime Hakeem, prime Shaq, prime Kobe, prime Tim Duncan, you have the benefit of playing with 4 of the top 10 players in NBA history, and you are beyond fortunate. You are lucky. Period. So, I feel like Robert Horry is, lucky to be in the situation he's in. Okay, so we are moving past that and into our final segment of player comparison. We are going to be doing Steve Nash and John Stockton, the battle of the legendary white point guards. I love it.
Canadian versus John Stockton.
Right.
Is John Stockton
white bread? I don't know.
He's from somewhere.
Yeah, he's super sunburnable. Okay, but moving into this, so very very evenly matched in a lot of areas. Nash played 18 seasons, Stockton played 19, so they have a similar workload. And MVPs, obviously Nash has 2.
Yeah.
All NBA first team, Nash 3 to Stockton 2. A lot of these are very, very similar. I think where you start to see the differences is when you start to see John Stockton's defense. Whenever he was getting steals, he's 5-time all defensive selections.
Yeah.
Versus Steve Nash's none. But Steve Nash is also a member of the 50-40-90 club 4 times.
Ooh.
So there's only been 11 of those in NBA history. 4 of those are his. And so there is a battle of sort of the defensive point guard who's better at defense and this efficient point guard. So in your mind, who takes the edge right here? Steve Nash, John Stockton?
So one of the biggest things doing research for this that really stood out was their free throws. I thought John Stockton was a much better free throw. I thought he was upper 80s, 90s type player.
He's like lower 80s.
Yeah, he's 82. He's still solid.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought it would be a lot closer with Steve Nash at being at 90.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting.
Stockton's good free throw shooter, not great.
Yeah, and I mean, I get the points differential. I understand that. With the assist, I mean, you have the most assists in NBA history.
Yeah,
and it's not. I don't know if anyone's even going to come close.
No, Chris Paul is the only active player that's even close, and it's not close.
Yeah, it's not. There's that aspect, and then, John Stockton just wore these shortest shorts. Like even in the early 2000s, he was still rocking those 80 shorts.
Bro, why not though? If you can rock those little shorts,
they're coming back. They're coming back.
They are.
They're coming back. We got Jeremy Sohan that's going to be rocking the shorter shorts now. So with his Cisco hair, but anyway, I mean Steve Nash when we were younger, he was the ideal point guard.
Yeah,
because he ran the offense. He was running up and down. Mike D'Antoni had him just basically go out and do what you want, and I would say that's a big reason why we see the NBA the way we see it is because they had that up and down offense. No one could really compete during the regular season, and then it wasn't until literally the Warriors figured out, we can run this way the entire time and still win championships.
Yeah.
So I think that really set the way for the way Steve Nash played because, I mean, whenever we would play them, it would be up and down, up and down, up and down, and we would struggle against them until the playoffs. And then the playoffs would come around, and Robert Horry would hip check him to the sideline, and he had a bloody nose and stuff. So
and then he'd be Steve Mask.
Yeah. And so I really think if you're asking me who I want to start my team with, point guard, John Stockton or Steve Nash, I think I'm going to go Steve Nash.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going Stockton.
I get that.
I'm going Stockton because I think I value defense from my point guard slightly more than I do efficiency, just because I feel like John Stockton's defensive output and how much he was doing on the defensive end outweighed the slight bit he was more efficient. Mm-hmm. Because you're right, he was more efficient from free throw and from 3. John Stockton was more efficient from 2, but from 3 and from free throw, Steve Nash was there. So I just feel like that's not enough to overlook the fact that Stockton's got the most steals of all time.
Yeah.
There were so many seasons where he was reading passing lanes and just able to make the floor seem smaller than it was because of how he could read the offense. And so for me, I think Stockton's slight edge, but either way you look at it, you're getting a really great point guard who's going to lead your team.
And I'm thinking Suns Nash.
We're talking prime.
Prime, yeah. Suns Nash, prime. When he was with Dallas, he was still a great player, but I didn't think he was, really that guy with Dirk there.
Yeah.
And then also when he was with the Lakers, that didn't work out. So
of course.
And you will see how he does as a coach. I mean,
he's doing okay so far, but he's got something to prove.
Well, he's dealing with some heavy personalities, and that's
right.
I mean, like we talked about earlier, if you don't want to be there, you don't want to be there. So
yeah,
he's kind of in a lose-lose situation, in my opinion. I think he should get another shot, whether this works out or not. But I hope it works out as a coach. I think he'd be a great coach. I know that I enjoyed watching Steve Nash when he was in the slam dunk contest. Those passes were awesome.
Yeah. That's funny.
The header, that was great.
I mean, who else is going to do that? I mean, maybe Luka could give a nice header.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, that's well, yeah, that's good. I'm glad that we were both on different sides of that player comparison.
Yeah, I have Stockton at 2 in that comparison.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I mean, that's the only reasonable place to have him. But yeah, that's solid. I got Stockton, you got Nash. There's no shame in that.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a good place to stop it there.
Absolutely. We love our player comparisons. If you have any, comment in the section. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram. Let us know what you think and what you want to see. If you want to see another point guard, if you want to see another fun, Scalabrini versus Bonner, or if you want to see something a little more in depth, let us know. And we'll definitely take your consideration and give you a shout out on the podcast.
Oh yeah. We love input, and we would love to do more of the comparisons that y'all want. But yeah, that feels good. So let's just call it. That's an episode of the Baseline Bums podcast. I am your host, Rob, a.k.a. B-Ball Archives, and I am with my boy, AJ, repping the Jokic over here. But it is still Go Spurs Go.
It is still Go Spurs Go. You guys have a great day.
Yep.